Good morning, everyone. In the last lecture, we discussed some properties of root locus. So, continue with the properties of the root locus. The next property, number fifth, the next property is when the order of polynomial or denominator polynomial is not equal to the numerator polynomial sum of the root loci or RL branches will approach infinity in S plane. Fifth property is when the order of the denominator polynomial and the numerator polynomial are not equal, then some of the root locus branches will approach infinity in S plane. For example, let us assume we have GSHS is equal to S plus A divided by S plus B, S plus C, S plus D, right? Then how many zeros we have? 1. And how many poles we have? 3. How many zeros we have? 1. And how many poles we have? 3. Right? So, since number of poles are more than number of zeros, and always when we draw root locus, we consider that the root locus will start from a pole and end up to 0. Root locus will start from poles and end up to 0. And assuming here is minus A, here minus B, here minus C, and here minus D. Then on minus A we are having a 0, here pole, and here also we have a pole. So, as we know that the root locus branches start from a pole and end up to a 0, then a root locus branch will start from this pole and end up to this 0. But what about these two poles? What about these two poles? The branches which are out from these two poles, where will they end? ये ब्रांचेस कहां एंड होंगी जो इन दोनों से चल रही हैं? तो वो दोनों कहां जाएंगी? इन्फिनिटी पर. वो दोनों कहां जाएंगी? इन्फिनिटी पर. तब इसका जो आपका रूट लोकस बनेगा वो कैसा बनेगा? वो कुछ इस टाइप का बनेगा. या तो ऐसा बनेगा या ऐसा बनेगा। ठीक है। Now, what is the meaning of this root locus? The meaning of this root locus is one root locus branch is started from this pole and end up to this 0. This is one branch. Here there will be no root locus branch. And another branch will start from this pole and end up to this 0, which is situated at infinity. And another branch will start from this pole and end up to this infinity, this 0, right? It means we consider, when we draw a root locus, we will consider that the number of poles is equal to number of zeros. So if there are 3 poles, then there must be 3 zeros. If 1 zero is clear, that is at minus a, then the other 2 zeros will be at infinity. Other 2 zeros will be at infinity, right? Similarly, if we have zeros more than poles, then the remaining poles will be situated at infinity. Remaining poles will be situated at infinity, right? The next property, number 6, is the root loci are asymptotic to asymptotes with angles given by theta I is equal to 2i plus 1 multiplied by 180 degree divided by mod of n minus m, n should not be equal to m, or here p minus z, and p should not be equal to z. If number of poles is not equal to number of zeros, then only we can find the angle of asymptotes. This theta I is the angle of asymptotes, and the root locus will be asymptotic to these asymptotes. Root locus will be asymptotic to these asymptotes, and the asymptotes will be drawn at a specified angle, which is angle of asymptotes theta I. Angle of asymptotes theta I. And theta I can be calculated only when the number of poles and number of zeros are not equal. If number of poles is equal to number of zeros, then there will be no asymptote. If number of pole is equal to number of zero, then there will not be any asymptote. वहां कोई asymptote नहीं होगा, और जो आपका रूट लोकस होगा वो इंफिनिटी तक कभी नहीं जाएगा। ठीक है। वो पोल से शुरू होगा और 0 पर जाके एंड हो जाएगा, लेकिन इंफिनिटी तक नहीं जाएगा। अगर इंफिनिटी तक जा रहा है तो आपको एंगल ऑफ असिम्प्टोट कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा, और वो कैलकुलेट होगा, और वो सिर्फ एक ही कंडीशन में कैलकुलेट होगा, जब P इज नॉट इक्वल टू Z होगा। ठीक है, जब P इज नॉट इक्वल टू Z होगा। और I, this I will vary from 0 1 up to P minus Z minus 1, 0 1 up to P minus Z minus 1. Next property, seventh, the intersect of the two P minus Z asymptotes of the root locus lies on the real axis of the S plane which is termed as centroid. The centroid sigma is equal to summation of real parts of poles of GSHS minus summation of real part of zeros of GSHS divided by P minus Z. So what is centroid? Centroid is the summation of real parts of poles of GSHS minus summation of real parts of zeros of GSHS divided by P minus Z. Or we can say that centroid is equal to summation of P minus summation of Z divided by P minus Z. Summation of P minus summation of Z divided by P minus Z. Right? Here summation of P is the summation of poles, and here summation of Z is means summation of zeros, and here P minus Z means number of poles minus number of zeros. And then we get centroid. And what is centroid? Centroid is the point from where we can draw our asymptotes. Centroid is the point from where we can draw our asymptotes, and this centroid must be on the real line. This centroid must be on the real line, and again if P is not equal to Z, then only centroid can be determined. If P is equal to Z, then we cannot determine the centroid. Right? If P is equal to Z, then we cannot determine the centroid. So Next property, on the given section of real axis, root locus are found in the section only if the total number of poles and zeros of GSHS to the right of the section is odd. Now, on the given section of real axis, root locus are found in the section only if the total number of poles and zeros of GSHS to the right of the section is odd. Let us consider a pole zero configuration like this. So, this section can only be possible on real axis. Sections can only be possible on real axis. रियल एक्सिस पर ही आप सेक्शन ले सकते हैं और कहीं नहीं ले सकते. तो रियल एक्सिस पर एक ये सेक्शन हुआ, एक ये सेक्शन हुआ और एक ये सेक्शन हुआ. Now look at this section. I have to check whether in this section the root locus will exist or not. Whether in this section the root locus will exist or not. So look at the right of this section. How many roots are there? So in the right of this section only this pole is there. In the right of this section only this pole is there. So number of roots in the right of the section is odd. And if the number of roots in the right of the section is odd, it means in this section root locus will exist. In this section root locus will exist. Here in this section again we check the number of roots in the right of the section. So in the right of the section 1, 2, 3, 4 there are 4 roots in the right of this section. Means the number of roots in the right of this section is even. Therefore in this section there will not be any root locus. There will not be any root locus. And in this section There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 again odd number of roots are there in the right of this section. Therefore, a root locus will exist in this section also. Right? So, root locus will exist in this section also. One more thing. This case is applicable only when this rule will be applicable only when we are considering negative feedback. Negative feedback. But in case of positive feedback, the rule will be reverted. Now, if the number of roots in the right of the section is even, then only the root locus will exist. And if the number of roots in the right of the section is odd, then root locus will not exist in that section. Right? Then root locus will not exist in that section. And one more thing, the angle which we determined for asymptotes 2i plus 1 into 180 divided by p minus z. 2i plus 1 into 180 divided by p minus z. This is the case for negative feedback. But for positive feedback, theta I will be 180 divided by p minus 2i into 180 divided by p minus z. 2i into 180 divided by p minus z. This will be the angle of asymptote in case of positive feedback. In case of positive feedback. So, for positive feedback, there should be two changes. One, this rule will be reverted if there are number of roots even in the right of any section, then root locus will exist in that section. And if number of roots are odd in the right of the section, then there will not be any root locus. And angle of asymptote for positive feedback will be 2i multiplied by 180 divided by mod of p minus z. Right? These two changes will be there for positive feedback case. Right? So, for example, let us consider a root locus. Let us consider a root locus like this. Let us consider a root locus like this. Then what will be its function if this is minus 1 and this is minus 2? What will be the open loop transfer function for this type of root locus? So, From root locus it is clear that we have only two poles and no zero. We have only two poles and no zero, right? Only two poles and no zeros. Therefore, this will be k divided by s plus 1, s plus 2. S plus 1 and s plus 2. This is our open loop transfer function. Now, what will be the closed loop transfer function? For closed loop transfer function, now we have the option to choose positive feedback or negative feedback. If it is negative feedback, then this will be k divided by s plus 1, s plus 2 plus k. And if it is positive feedback, then CLTF will be k divided by s plus 1, s plus 2 minus k. Right? So, which type of feedback should be considered here? For that, look at the root locus. Here, one pole is there and one pole is there. And what should be the section on the real axis for root locus? So if I consider this section, then in the right of this section we have a pole. That is number of roots is odd. So the root locus should exist here. And if I consider negative feedback, then the root locus should be like this. Nothing is here and nothing should be here. This must be the root locus if I consider negative feedback for the same GSHS. But if this is the root locus which is given to us, in this case we can see that for this pole, then for this section, the number of roots in the right of this section is even and the root locus exists here. Similarly, here in this section, the number of roots in the right of this section is 0, which is again even. So root locus is exists here. Therefore, in this case, we will use positive feedback. Positive feedback. One more thing. If the negative feedback is considered, we will find centroid and asymptotes. Centroid and asymptotes. In this case also, we will find centroid and asymptotes. For this case, angle of asymptote will be calculated from this formula and theta naught will be 90 degree and theta 1 will be 270 degree. If I put 0, then 1 into 280 divided by 2, which is 90. If it is 1, then 3 into 180 divided by 2, 90 into 3, which is 270. And from here, theta naught will be 180 divided by, theta naught is 0, so it is 0. And theta 1, 2 into 180 divided by 2, which is 180. So one angle is 0 and one angle is 180. So one is 0 and one is 180. So this is the root locus for positive feedback case. And this is the root locus for negative feedback case. Right? So remember this, and this will help you in solving many type of questions, small questions, which can be asked in any competitive exams. Next is ninth. The angle of departure or arrival of a root locus at a pole or I can write it as at a complex pole or complex zero of GSHS denotes the angle of the tangent to the root locus near the point. Near the point. The angle of departure or arrival of a root locus at a complex pole or complex zero of GSHS denotes the angle of the tangent to the root locus near the point. The angle of departure or angle of arrival can only be determined in case of complex roots. The angle of departure means from where the root locus will depart and at which angle the root locus will depart from a pole, because root locus departs from a pole and arrive at a zero. Therefore, the angle of departure can only be determined only on complex pole, and angle of arrival can be determined only on complex zero. Right? Next is 10th. The point where the root locus meets the imaginary axis can be found by means of RH criteria. The point where the root locus meets the imaginary axis. What is root locus? Locus of the roots. Locus of the roots. And if the root locus crosses the imaginary axis, if the root locus crosses the imaginary axis, it means at this point, the roots of the characteristic equation lie on imaginary axis. And after this point, the roots of the characteristic equation lie in the right hand side of the S-plane, and the system is unstable. Right? Roots lie in the right hand side of the S-plane. That means the system becomes unstable. So, the point where the root locus meets the imaginary axis can be found by means of RH criteria. How can we find that point? At this axis, where my root locus crosses the imaginary axis. So, remember the RH criteria, the problem number 2. When the all elements of a row are 0, then the condition is there is one or more pair of imaginary roots. It means there are one or more pair of imaginary roots. That means the roots lie on the imaginary axis. Roots lie on the imaginary axis. And from there I can find the point where my root locus crosses the or intersect the imaginary axis. Right? Number 11. Breakaway point. This is the point where root locus crosses the real axis. This is the point where root locus crosses the real axis. It means the breakaway point must lie on the real axis, on the root locus of a characteristic equation correspond to multiple order roots of the equation. The breakaway point on the root locus of a characteristic equation correspond to multiple order roots of the equation. जब मल्टीपल ऑर्डर रूट्स हो किसी इक्वेशन में, तब वहां आपको ब्रेक अवे पॉइंट मिलता है या ब्रेक इन पॉइंट मिलता है. ब्रेक अवे और ब्रेक इन. अगेन, if I am having poles or a point between poles, then that will be the break away point. As the name implies, break away. The branches, root locus branches, breaks at the real axis and move away from that point. It is like if this is a breakaway point, then two root locus branches will move away from this point. Means one root locus branch coming from here and one root locus branch is coming from here, and these two branches break here and move away from this point. This is called breakaway point. And breakaway point will always lie in between poles. Will always lie in between poles. And break-in points, break in, the name implies that the point where two different branches, two broken branches meets, a point where two broken branches meets, right? Where two branches, uh, when two branches come to a point, then the point called break-in point. And after meeting here, one branch move this side and one branch will move this side, and these two branches will end up to two zeros. These two branches will end up to two zeros. So break-in point will lie in between two zeros, and breakaway point will lie in between two poles, right? Will lie in between two poles. And to find out the breakaway or break-in point, we have to calculate d by ds of k and put this equal to 0. Put this equal to 0 and find the value of s. Find the value of s which satisfy this equation. Which satisfy this equation, right? After finding the value of s, after finding the value of s, put the real value of s in the original, put the real value of s, not complex. Real value of s in the original characteristic equation and find the value of k. The real s for which k is positive is the break away or break in point. So how can I find the breakaway or break-in point? How can I calculate the breakaway or break-in point? This is the method of finding breakaway or break-in point. First, we'll calculate dk by ds is equal to 0. From here, we'll find the value of s, right? From all the values of s, pick only the real values of s, not complex values. If all the values of s are complex, it means there is no breakaway or break-in point. There is no breakaway or break-in point. Put the real value of S in the original characteristic equation and find the value of K. And the real value of S for which K is positive becomes the breakaway or break-in points. Breakaway or break-in points. The real S will be breakaway if it is in between two poles, and the real S will be break-in if it is in between two zeros. Right? Thirteenth number. The sensitivity of the roots of the characteristic equation when K varies is defined as the root sensitivity and is given by Sk is equal to ds by s divided by dk by k, or is equal to k by s ds by dk. K by s ds by dk. There are some questions, some objective questions which are on the basis of this 13 point. You will have to calculate the sensitivity of roots or root sensitivity, and for this you have to use this formula. And the one line question is, what is the root sensitivity? What is the root sensitivity at breakaway points? So since on breakaway points, for breakaway points, we calculate dk by ds is equal to 0. It means on breakaway point, dk by ds is equal to 0. And if dk by ds is equal to 0, then sk will be equal to infinity. So the root sensitivity at breakaway point is infinity. Root sensitivity at breakaway point is infinity, right? And the system that is insensitive to parameter variation, the system which is insensitive to parameter variation is called robust system. right? Robust system. So this is the one liner questions. What is robust system? The system which is insensitive to parameter variation is called robust system. And what is the root sensitivity at breakaway point? At breakaway point, the root sensitivity is infinity because dk by ds is 0 at breakaway point, right? So this is all the properties of root locus. In the next lecture, we'll start the rules for drawing root locus and we'll draw some root locus, right? So thank you.